I got interested in them because I've done a total of 19 of these, and all of a sudden here was a new crop of motifs and designs and shapes that were used in the contemporary kimonos. I'll call them contemporary because most of them were done in the 20s and the 30s. And they dealt with propaganda. They dealt with, especially a lot of them, like this one over here is called the boys' kimono. They were created for children, and they were indoctrinating them into war and into this expansionist attitude that the Japanese had. And obviously one of the reasons why they attacked Pearl Harbor. This has been water jet cut, and it is a web. Here's 1/2-inch plywood, and it's all about keeping this from warping by putting 2 layers together like that. Now, this could just be a solid piece of wood, but I thought I was really sort of wasting some great positive, negative kind of thing. And so these have to be created on the computer, and then I send them to a company that does the water jet cutting. And I use water jet because there's a laser technique too, but it makes the wood brown around here, and I didn't want that to happen. There is a 1/2-inch plywood carcass back here, and it is just put together as expediently as I can. I try to make them as nice as possible, and they use biscuits, which is a process for gluing things together, a woodworking tool. Then this is image wood, and in this case this is called Primavera, and this is mahogany, Honduras mahogany, and this is maple, soft maple, and these are made out of this is where it's sort of wobbly and highlighted is Pacific Northwest maple. If you go to a lumber yard, you might see it called ripple maple or quilted maple. I knew that I could make it look like metal. It is a process that I've used. You can bleach it and make it look like bone. You can see that I made it look like a crest of a wave, and or stained it blue and made it look like the ocean and waves. It's very versatile in that respect, which is a nice thing about all the different woods. Oh, and clouds. You can see what happens there in that one where it's essentially a bunch of clouds. So,
do you do all the cutting on the outside yourself?
Yeah, these are all separate pieces. This is almost like a puzzle. Okay. It's essentially a puzzle. And these are all cut out. And maybe I use a hand grinder, and that little video, it shows me doing it, cutting it out and using a hand grinder. And then, this is a good thing to note too, the detail, anytime you see a much thinner line, that's put in with a woodworking, or a wood burning tool, or one of those grinders that they use for etching in your name in a camera or something like that. It's essentially tattooing the wood. And I will do that after I glue these all in, and there's a trough between this area here.
And that's black epoxy.
Yes, and then we squeeze in black epoxy, and one of the ways you might describe it is taking your old-fashioned putty knife, that's what I use, and dipping it into a jar of peanut butter and squeezing it into because that's about the consistency it is. Now, that is it's called West System epoxy, if you really want to get into the technical thing. And it is a whole system that is an epoxy with a hardener, and then you can add these different things to it. And there's a powder called Silica Powder that you add to it, and the more you add to it, the thicker it gets. And it makes it the same hardness essentially as the wood, and it makes it sand easier. So as I said, the consistency is about like peanut butter. And I add powdered pigment to it, and that is right here from Daniel Smith is the local provider. I just buy powdered pigment from them, and that goes into it also to give it the different colors. So,
in your conversation with Michael,
yeah.
he said that you liked discovering that this was very equatable to the Japanese woodblock graphic.
Oh yeah, it was really inspired by and a lot of the direction of going into the Japanese. Thank you, that was a good direction of going into the Japanese had a lot to do with the fact that the end result is very much like Japanese block print. And so consequently, since it's broken down into just line and shape or space, it was obvious that taking and using the Japanese block print was, you know, for imagery was great. That and cartoons, they're essentially the same thing, you know, when you think about it. The one thing that I add to it is mainly in the early cartoons, they didn't shade things. They were just flat surfaces with the line. And one of the things that happened, I was really fascinated by the early Popeye cartoons more than anything, because they were in black and white and they were really beautifully done, and they didn't shade them. And then as animation evolved, they started shading them more, and then when it got into CG animation, you can see that it's amazing how much a cartoon can look so real, and a lot of that has to do with the fact that they are shaded, much the same as you would with an airbrush. In fact, one of the teams in those animations, for instance, for Toy Story, one of the teams is a team that decides where the lighting goes and where the shadows go. They look at that meticulously.
Because they have to be lined up.
Yeah, to make it work. So that is another area that you guys can talk about, and that is perspective, especially in relationship to the other ones. And I might say that if you take a look at those, there are 3 elements that you should be involved in, or 3 areas that and this is what I teach, or I did teach when I was teaching 2D design. I would teach an area in perspective. There's the linear perspective, that has to get right, which is nothing more than if you're going to do a plane in 3/4 view, the propeller are going to come into, there's going to be some form of an ellipse, and there's foreshortening, and there's all kinds of things that happen in respect to perspective, especially in the ones where the wood is, and essentially what I'm looking at is a cube or a block to some degree, a real long skinny one. There's that aspect of it, that has to be correct, but in relationship to that, you have to have what side is light and what is dark. You can see that there's a shadow generated here by staining it with an airbrush, and then I will use a highlight by bleaching the wood here. This wave that you see, you can see that there's a light and dark area in there. And then the third element is a shadow that is generated. And it's not so evident in what's happening in these, but if you go and look at the wall pieces in there, you will see that there's a shadow generated. And all of them have to work in relationship to one another. They can't cross-connect, so to speak. And so consequently, that's what I taught, how you can figure out those 3 elements. And once you do that, you're just compelled to see it as being dimensional. If those all jive, then it really works. And you're, seduced by the illusion, so to speak.